Can you hear me? Yeah.
All right, we're ready to start the next session. John, you have the floor.
Thank you all for coming here. I'm John Samuel, and I'm going to present a talk on from open collaboration to customized control, transitioning from Wikidata to Wikibase. Just to give a quick idea about what you can expect from this talk. So basically, I want to focus on open collaboration and self-hosted data management. So these are the 2 points that I want to focus on. And then you can see some sort of flexibility and integration. And the question that I want to ask in this talk is, why Wikibase? You may have heard about Wikidata. If you haven't, I will give a small introduction. So Wikidata is something which is open, multilingual, and collaborative. And then there is Wikibase that's going to be useful for your specific data needs. So this is what I'm going to talk about in this talk. So just to give a quick presentation, I am I'm associate professor in CP Lyon in France, and I work on software design and big data. That's my area of teaching. And I'm an active contributor on Wikidata and Wikimedia Commons. Basically, I work a lot on knowledge representation and data analysis, and I'm very much interested in integrating data from different sources, and that was also my PhD thesis. So what's Wikidata? I do not know how many of you know about Wikidata. Wikidata is a sister project of Wikipedia, which was launched in 2012, and it's a collaborative project which was aimed to create structure and link knowledge base. So basically it's a free and open, exactly like Wikipedia. And then you have something that's very interesting, that this is a linked and a structured knowledge base. You can still have the collaborative aspects of Wikipedia, and you have something that's called multilingual. That's the best part of Wikidata. So what's so special about Wikidata? There are many advantages. I can talk hard and hard on this topic. But what I really love about Wikidata is the evolution of Wikidata, evolution of the Wikimedia projects like this. You have got a lot of Wikipedia sites for each and every language and on multiple subdomains. And here, in case of Wikidata, you have a single domain, and you can get the data in all those languages. So to be more precise, I have taken certain examples. Here, for example, this is a cat, and you can see that in this example you have cat in different languages. You have in English cat, you have in French chat, in Spanish gato, etc., etc. On the other side, on the right-hand side, you can see there is one single number, that is Q1 forces, and that is going to be used to refer to cat. Similarly, for example, the word example has been translated in different Wikipedia pages, but on the other side you have Wikidata, you have a single entry, and you can use this page. Same for the place where I live currently, Lyon, and you have multiple pages, but you have a single entry on the Wikidata side. So let's take some simple examples. If you haven't never heard about Wikidata, I want you to, if you are on Wikipedia, you can test, go to FOSDEM, and you see this page on Wikipedia. Now you are wondering where I can find Wikidata. So if you can see carefully, this this is quite weird. On the right-hand side, you have got a toolbar on that side, and then you have some other options where you can see in other projects, Wikimedia Commons, MediaWiki, MetaWiki, Wikidata item. And there you are, you have got the Wikidata item. So when you click on the Wikidata item, you come to this page on FOSDEM. So you have a FOSDEM entry. Please be careful that from now onwards, we are not going to just talk about FOSDEM, we are also going to refer FOSDEM from its identifier, which is Q475430. And we are going to talk about all these aspects of FOSDEM from this particular point. And I will talk about the structured data perspective. Sorry, I have no clue. So why did we come up with Wikidata, and what was already there? So before Wikidata, people were actually putting lots of information on on Wikipedia in form of info boxes, and where you put essential information, like for example, you are a software, you talk about the licenses, the logos, etc. on the official websites. Or about if you are talking about human beings or actors, you have those information like date of birth, location, statistics, etc. So you have got lots of such information, and sometimes you also have links on Wikidata depending on the projects where you are working on. And now what we can see on this side, I'm trying to show you 3 examples. This is the English Wikipedia page. Please check always the right-hand side of my presentation. You have got the info box with lots of information, genre, the type of conference, the location, the country, etc. Now I move on to the French Wikipedia. You see the number of information is a bit reduced, and you don't have all those information in their info box because the community has decided not to document all the information. That's up to the community, the French language community. And then now what I go now is to the Spanish Wikipedia, and you see again they have got, I'm a bit surprised. Yeah, they have got lots of information on FOSDEM related to the conference. So its community had decided lots of information. It's good you have lots of information about these of the FOSDEM conference, and people can get a quick idea just by looking at the info box. So this is a very nice idea about info boxes. So one thing about info boxes is it's very accessible. You can create a uniform information for different topics like cities, human beings, actors, scientists, etc. You can allow collaborative updates, and you can also link them to Wikidata. And that's really interesting. But there is a simple problem. This is something that I normally show to my students. This is a screenshot of one of my talks, one of my classes, where I explain to my students the problem related to having multiple information in the info boxes when it's not controlled easily. You have got the population information, and if you see carefully, not on different Wikipedias, this information is not up to date. All in Wikipedia has information from 2009, whereas the other Wikipedias have the latest information, like for example 2015. So this is a major problem. So people who are Italian speaking do not get the latest information from Wikipedia, and it's not a good idea. So one way to think about this is, let's take this information directly from Wikidata and feed it to the information. But again, of course, it has to be decided by the community. Every language community has to make a decision. For example, French language community has accepted to integrate it to many of their Wikipedia pages, and Spanish, and also many other Wikipedia communities, but not all languages, just to be frank. One can say that, okay, this is good to have info boxes, but you know that when you have multiple info boxes, you have the problem of redundant information in different languages, and you cannot ensure an up-to-date information on all the Wikipedia. So we have got an idea that this is really important. So we have to have Wikidata somehow, which can be used to document lots of information. And here, what I'm talking about is I'm coming back to FOSDEM. I'm taking this example. So as you can see on Wikidata, you have got different languages. You have got the labels in different languages. You have got the small description in different languages, and also as well as the aliases. So what happens is that once you have translated one particular item, you need not translate it again and again and again. You just have to say, give me the label of French, give me the French label for this particular item, and you get the information. And this is really quite useful. And then we can talk about the properties. Properties, for example, are these things that can be used to describe our entity. So you have got the the date of creation of FOSDEM, you have got the local image, you have got the images from the FOSDEM, again on the same page. So these are the properties. These have been decided by the community, Wikidata community, and they identified these properties to describe FOSDEM. And so I want to give this example. I want to use this example throughout my presentation. So what did the community decide, the Wikidata community? They decided that for explaining conferences like FOSDEM, we will have use some sort of concepts. For example, instance of is like, for example, FOSDEM is an annual conference, FOSDEM is a convention series, FOSDEM is a recurring event. And the date of creation, the location, the continent, and the country. This is what we want to describe, and we want to use it. But this is only in English. We wanted to do it in all the languages. So there you go. Now you have got the properties. Instead of saying instance of, we're going to say it's P31, and we say it's, whenever I say P31, it means I am talking about the instance of. And whenever I say P17, I'm talking about the country. So that's the advantage. So it's an English label for the P17. And now that's the other side, that labels side. Again, for each and every aspect, we have got the labels, the identifiers for each concept. Please note, we will reuse this number, Q562, blah, 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 later in the example. And this is very useful because we can say that it's an annual conference, this is a convention series, and you have a label for, you have an identifier for all of these. Please also note that there is P stands for properties and Q for the normal items. Now we have got this type of information on Wikidata. We can represent this information. We can use the properties. We can also use qualifiers. For example, if you want to give additional information, how precise is your date, or how did you get this information, like is it a census method, etc. You can add additional information. And of course, just like Wikipedia, you can talk about, you have to add references. So you can also add additional information about each and every fact that has been mentioned on the previous slide. Whether FOSDEM is really in Brussels, for example. Finally, one thing that's very important is that an item on Wikidata doesn't stay just alone. We want to create a system where everything is linked with other databases. So here what you can see, if you are still on the Wikidata page of FOSDEM, you see additional identifier, for example, BabelNet ID, Freebase ID, Instagram username, Mastodon address, etc., etc. So all these is additional information, and all this also links your data to other open databases. And then you can, if you don't have all the information on Wikidata, you can also use these data from other sources to create an integrated view of the particular entity. Now, this is not a new concept. This has been studied a lot in the context of linked open data. People have been thinking about how we can use all those open databases and link them together so that whenever we want to do certain analysis, we can use all these databases, get the information, relevant information, and use it for whenever needed. So linked open data requires to certain conditions. First thing is that you need to have a unique identifier. So you have seen that in case of Wikidata, you have those unique identifiers. You have got the data in a form of triples, for example, subject, predicate, and object. For example, when I said FOSDEM, inception, February 2001, etc. So you have those the triple way of information. And finally, something is called Sparkle protocol, where you can use this protocol to query the data from these systems. This is really important because we are ensuring the open landscape in the whole data analysis. So just to give you a quick idea, you will see You see what happened in 2009. Initially, when LOD started, people started linking their database. This is just the initial aspect. And then suddenly in 2010, people have understood the importance of linking their databases together and having more data about a particular entity. And so we have something like that in 2000. All those circles are databases, open databases. And this is from 2024. You see the October 2024. You see there's an explosion of open databases, and all of them decided to link each other. And this is really interesting because you can get additional information. One thing that I want to also talk about is the Sparkle protocol. For example, in this case, what we can see is that once you have represented your data, you can also query the data. Like, for example, give me all the annual conferences that's happening everywhere in the world. This is a simple thing. As I told you, please remember the number Q562. It corresponds to annual conference, and P31 corresponds to instance of. Just by writing this on Wikidata, you can get all the annual conferences around the world just by this simple line. So this is the really interesting aspect of Wikidata. So now that's really about Wikidata, but what's about Wikibase? Why did I talk about Wikibase? So when you work with Wikidata, as you know that when you have your when you work with Wikipedia, you have got lots of it's a community-based decisions. Not everything can be so easy to handle. For example, if you want to create new properties, you want to add certain information, you cannot easily add because the community decides what is relevant and what's not relevant, what is notable, what's not notable, etc., etc. So one thing that is what I want to focus about is, what if I get all those things that are possible with Wikidata, and I have this additional thing, self-hosted instance. That is that I have everything that's I can do with Wikidata, but it's my own local instance where I can do things like that, but I will have the complete control over my data. So this is what I'm going to talk about from the Wikibase perspective. One thing that you would like to do in case of such a work is that you want to have licenses that are correct to your institution's license or correct to your personal needs. So license is important. By default, the license of Wikidata is CC0. It's like almost equivalent to the public domain, but with a license. But maybe in real life, you cannot do that because of because of certain regulation by your institutions. You are sometimes forced to use CC by NC and SA, etc. So you have to decide. So you have to make a compromise, and you say, okay, I will use CC by NC, and I will use Wikibase. I do not want to go in detail about the openness of these licenses, but and the end and the bottom you have the copyright, and at the top you have the CC0 use. So let's go back to the same example. If I want to say that I do not want to, it's my own Wikidata, I want to do something that is not possible in Wikidata. I want to do something in my side. So I said, let's remove convention series. I don't care. I'll remove it because it's my instance, my own database. And then I want to add something called video. And in this case, this video is a link to the FOSDEM website. It's not a link to certain restrictions proposed by the Wikidata community. It's just my own links. It's on my database. So I want to do this. So this is possible. So what I want to show is that I want to give you a personal example. In this case, I have written an article, for example, back in 2015. It's an opinion article where I said we need to rethink the command line. And in that case, I created a database, and I wanted to, it's not notable, I cannot put it on Wikidata, but I wanted to create my own Wikibase, and I created this page with all my own information where I said, I want to talk about this page, this is title, language of work, instance of creation time, etc. And all these are my own properties, and all these are my own items. They are not related to Wikidata. And this is, for example, my course page. And I said, I want to include information in French and English, for example, the title, the language of work, the nature of element, etc. And it's the Wikibase. As you see, it's exactly like the Wikidata. And now what I want to do is I want to also link it to Wikidata. Because as I said, my ultimate goal is not to just be alone in my kind, but allow the open landscape where people who want to use my data can use it, but also can see what is the equivalent property. For example, P27, my Wikibase instance, is the same as P1476 in the Wikidata community. And same for other things, you can create equivalent properties, etc., etc. And what's the advantage? So you can get all the properties with this example. So what's the advantage with this? So I can say, give me all my courses sorted by academic year. And this is my personal information. And it's just coming from my own Wikibase cloud. It's nothing from the Wikidata community, just my own information. But at the same time, I can also say I want to link my data to Wikidata, for example. Oops. And I also get information from Wikidata. For example, I'm trying to get all the translation, all the information related to official website from Wikidata. So this is my Wikibase, and I'm also getting data from Wikidata on my side. So trying to be integrating more and more data from open databases. If you're interested, you can try wikibase.cloud. This is something that I use for my personal need. If you are really geeky enough, you can use the Docker images of Wikibase. If you want to do it on your own side, it's also possible. There are so many people who have used these things. There are also already 744 open databases. And what I wanted to talk about in this talk is that you can use Wikibase for personal or institutional, especially if you are in the GLAM field or in the museum, especially in museums. You cannot put everything with open licenses. Or if you are working with your personal data, you can use your own Wikibase. So these are some of the online resources, and thank you.
Any questions? Any question? No? Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. I was wondering, but it may be more related to Wikidata, what the condition to make new data in Wikidata, because I know on Wikipedia you cannot just open a page for any subject.
Yeah.
There are similar restrictions for
Wikidata. The main problem in opening up is you have to be very careful about the license. If your data is not with the CC BY or CC0 license, it's not possible to include it in the Wikidata system. So that is why we need something like Wikibase, because you can still integrate with Wikidata using federated query, something that I demonstrated here, but you cannot put that on Wikidata. So one thing that's important is the license, and then also the community agreement. Not everything can be put up on Wikidata because of notability reasons, because you cannot say that this particular information is really notable enough to be put on Wikidata. So these are very delicate questions, and sometimes people, what people do is they try to put this information in Wikibase and show it to the world that this is really advantageous, and then if the license is CC0, you can just import it to the Wikidata, and that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is my computer.